Mosquitoes are all over the place today. So fishing season's getting ready. It's almost time. So I'm getting my gear ready. And I thought you might be interested in seeing how we set up a rig for sockeye salmon, which is one of my favorite salmons to eat. Sockeye salmons, or there goes the table, or as we call them, reds. And they're called reds because when you cut into the meat is just so bright red, just awesome. So in the river right now are kings. King salmon started moving in already, but they have cut off the fishing for king salmon because the numbers coming in are very, very, very low, as we talked about before. I'm going to need that. I wonder where that went. So in Alaska, I'll put my glasses on here. To fish in any of the waters in Alaska, you need a fishing license until you are, I believe it's 65, 63 or 65, at which point you can get a lifetime license. So you buy your fishing license, you don't have to buy a fishing license again after that. We go online. There's my sports fishing license. And I have a king stamp because in order to fish for king salmon up here, you have to have a king stamp. Where's my price on here? 2020 resident, sign your license or it's not valid. I already signed it. It was like 30 bucks. And coming from California where the licenses were a lot more expensive and the fish were a lot smaller, it was well worth every penny. The neat thing is you just give them your driver's license and they scan it, and all the information transfers directly over from there to the Fish and Game, and your license, all your information pops right up on your license and they just print it right there. So not like the olden days of filling out the card and put my wallet out here, of filling out the card yourself and having triplicate copies and everything else. And by doing it online, if I lose it, I can just go back online again and print it up again. So I'm going to try something a little different this year than I've done in the past. Watched a couple of videos, and you know, you can fish all you want. You can talk about how great a fisherman you are, but the proof is in the pudding. It's whether or not you catch fish. And for me, I do a lot of catching. My brothers and I joked all the time, we're not going fishing, we're going catching. And I'm always willing to learn something new. So I'm going to be setting up some rigs for sockeye salmon fishing on the Kenai River. This will also work for Russian River Reds, which is further up the Kenai River, where the Kenai splits into the, or where the Russian River comes into the Kenai River. And those are smaller salmon. They're probably, yeah, they're probably about that big. Maybe they're probably closer to that big. Where the Reds are probably about that big. And you can get some monster Reds. But one of the things I saw was, as opposed to using a regular hook like I normally would, I'm going to go with, where's my camera at on here? Right over there. I'm going to go with these octopus circle hooks. So when you're fishing for sockeye, they don't really bite. They have one thing on their mind, and that's to get back to the spawning grounds. So basically, you're not supposed to snag them. That's not how you're supposed to catch these fish, and it's illegal to snag them. So how you catch them is you snag them. And that sounds stupid, but it's true. So I'm going to set up 6-foot leaders, and I'm going to do the hook on the end, and I'm going to do it with an egg loop knot. And then I'm going to do a swivel that's going to tie directly to my line. And I'm going to set up a whole bunch of these. I'm going to set up, there's 6 per package, so I'll set up 12 rigs. That way I don't have to worry about I'm out fishing and my rig breaks off. I'll have one. I can just tie it right back on again and just get back into fishing. Because when the sockeye are in the river, it's crazy how fast they are biting. Usually the season opens with a limit of 3 per day. So if you go in the evening, like say 10 o'clock at night, and you catch 3, you can catch 3 more in the morning, right after midnight, so you get 6. If the runs are exceptionally good, it then becomes 6 per day, which is just fantastic. And it's been 6 per day every year that I've been coming up here since 2011, and every year since I've lived here in 2013. So I'm going to tie with an egg loop knot, and I'm probably going to do 6. I won't even do any of these. I'll have these all set up. Back to how you catch them. So you toss the line out, and not very far. These fish are not far from the bank. And you want just enough weight on it so that you can feel the line go tick, 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 tick down. So it's cast above you, tick, 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 and when it's right in front of you, you just draw it back, all right? What you're doing is you're flossing that indicator through here with the hook across the front of the fish, and that's how you're catching them. And the reason why I'm going to these circle hooks this year is because the only legal hook is a mouth hook. And it's very easy when you're fishing for sockeye to foul hook, which would be a belly hook, a back hook, a tail hook. Trust me, it's a ton of fun when the fish, when you foul hook a fish in the tail. It's a ton of fun because they just take off. You know, you're fighting it. It's just great. But it's a foul hook and you can't keep the fish. So these circle hooks, from everything that I've read, are supposed to reduce drastically the amount of foul hooks that you get. And I will probably get a foul hook for every good hook on a fish. So if I can reduce that to, say, 1 in 4 foul hooks, that's even better. That means that I'm catching more fish and I'm keeping more fish. So, well, it's kind of a different video from what I've been doing so far. It is Alaska and it is salmon season. And join me. I'm going to set up a rig for salmon fishing. And I'll even show you, when I'm done here, a demonstration of the cast technique and the retrieve technique. It's really simple and it's a lot of fun. Stick with me. I'm Sean in Alaska. Let's have some fun here. Yeah, it is bright out here today. Crazy. It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If you saw my video that I posted, today is June 4th as I'm getting ready to get all this stuff set up. If you saw the video that I posted on Instagram, look me up on Instagram, by the way. The link is right up on the top of the page. Right on the banner section on the right-hand side, you'll see the little Instagram logo. Click that. It'll take you there. I've got a Facebook page as well. But if you saw the video from this morning at 3:30 this morning, the sun was already up. And then we'll probably have sunlight tonight until right around midnight. So we're down to about 4 hours of darkness a night now. Okay. So sockeye salmon are a pretty good-sized fish. I guess they can range anywhere from, say, 15 to, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 pounds. And because of the size of the fish, the line that you're going to have on your rod is going to be a little bit different. A lot of people go with 30-pound test. I go with 25-pound test, and I'm going to go with 20-pound test for the leader. The main thing is when you land the fish, you don't want to lose the fish. You don't want your gear to break off. And if you get into a big fish, you want to be able to get that big fish to the bank. I fish because I enjoy fishing, and I fish because I love salmon. I love the taste of it. And I grill it. I smoke it. I do all kinds of neat stuff with it. We'll do all that as the season progresses, and I actually have something to do it with. But as I said before, I went out and bought this new line. You guys probably saw the video where I did that, hopefully. And we'll go ahead and put that right over there. And we need a 6-foot leader. So if I go like this and stretch my arms out as far as they go, it's about 4 feet, okay? So then if I grab it about in the middle here and do it again, I'm now at 6 feet, okay? So that's going to be our 6-foot leader material. I love fishing. I love everything about fishing. The first time I lived up here in Alaska, I lived in Fairbanks, and I never went fishing. I was there for 2.5 years and never fished once. And then when I came back up to visit before I moved up, I came up with my youngest daughter, Ashley, and I'd had carpal tunnel surgery on my hand, and I actually had carpal tunnel surgery on both my hands. And at the end of, I was on state disability because of the surgery and union disability and all that fun stuff. But because of that, the last week that I was here, I could fish, and I went fly fishing. And that's the picture that is on my page, is me in the river with a sockeye, with a red salmon. And I don't know why I say salmons on occasion, but with a red salmon on the Kenai River. So it's on the river that's right here by the property, but up quite a bit more towards Cooper Landing. It's really pretty up there towards Kenai Lake. Just phenomenal. I love fishing. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. And how did I learn to tie these knots? It's really simple. I went on YouTube and I Googled it and then hit videos, and it took me right to YouTube. So here is our circle hook. Okay, right over here. There we go. All right. It's got a little bit of a twist on it there. The whole premise behind this, and they're really popular, they're super popular with halibut fishing, is that when the fish gets hooked, it can't lose the hook because the hook has got a curve to it and it's going to stick in its mouth. So you're going to take your hook and you're going to turn it like that. Okay, see how my hook is right there? You got your eye right on top. And we're going to take our line and we're going to run it through your tag end, probably about that much. All right, now let's see if I can do this towards the camera. So with the other end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and I'm going to pull it tight a little bit. And then this is where it gets tricky. You have to pinch all of this with the one hand, right? See if I can show you how I've got that held. Right, with one hand. So I'm holding the back tag up here and the bottom tag right there. Now I'm going to take this other end of my leader, and since I went through this way to start, we're going to go this way now. So in reverse, and I'm going to give myself, get over there. I'm going to probably give myself, say, about that much. All right, and this doesn't matter because this is the one you're going to pull, but it just makes it easier to work with. Now I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to grab the one that I wrapped, and I'm going to lay the new line right across the top, right? And then I'm going to wrap everything over that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? And then I'm going to grab it again. Pinch it down there. Now, if you look right here, there's some slack in that line. I could take that up and I could pull it this way with my finger, tighten it up there, or I could just do the easy way. And that is what I'm going to do here. So now I'm going to pull this through. And don't be in a hurry because you don't want this line to curl up down here on this side like it's trying to do there. So take your time. Ooh. Tricky, tricky. So you get to the end, and then you tighten it up. So here's where I'm at now, right? It's probably a little easier to see right there. And now I'm going to take both ends, and I'm going to pull it good and tight, and you have got an egg loop knot. Very simple. So we're going to cut off our tag line here, which is the tail. And why do you want to use this knot? Or why do you want to use this knot on your hook? Well, because when you're fishing for sockeye, like I said before, you can't snag them. So you have to snag them. In order for this to not be a snag, you must add a bait to it. An indicator, a lure, a flasher. You could put beads on here. You could pretty much do whatever you want. But with an egg loop knot, what is really, really cool, and I got this one, and I got this one. So, you know, between these two, they're going to be biting on something that day. We can pull out a piece of yarn. Clip that off. And we give ourselves about that much. Clip that off. I should really invest in a pair of scissors. And because we've tied an egg loop knot, here's where the loop comes in. Remember the section that you pulled all the way out and tightened everything up on? If you take that section and you push that section back, you'll get a loop right there, right? And you could tie egg sacs onto here. You could tie whatever you want, but for sockeye, all I have to do is put my yarn there, close it back down again, And now I have a lure. Now I do not have just a hook that I'm going to, what's the word I'm looking for? Snag. Yeah, a hook that I'm going to snag with. Now I actually have a lure because it's got a lure indicator on there. All right, so that's the egg loop knot, and that's why I tie them, is because it makes it really easy. Hey, pup. Makes them really easy to change over and to change colors over and to throw colors on it, to play around with different stuff during the day, and it's a super, super strong knot. And like I said before, so I'm going to drop this down. On our other end, on our swivel end, we're just going to use a traditional fish tying knot. I don't know the name of this one. Somebody, I'm sure, will post it in the comments. But the swivel, the reason why you have the swivel is because as you're flipping the line out, it's going to twist. And as it's bouncing down the water, it's going to twist. And instead of having your line twist up on itself, by being on this swivel, the swivel allows it to spin free. Okay? So swivel hook or swivel knot, really, really easy. So I'm going to take my hook, and I'm going to take my swivel, right? And I'm going to run the line through it once, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to put it right here by the swivel. Then I'm going to take this line and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right, so we're going to have that. And then we're going to take the end. We're going to pop it back through the hole, and then we're going to take the end and we're going to pop it back through here. Okay? Now here's the part that a lot of people, for whatever reason, get disgusted on. In order for this line to get good and tight on this knot, you need some lubricant, and the best lubricant on the planet for something like this is human spit. Cut off our tag end, and we're ready to go. So what do I do with these when I tie them up? Well, when I get them all tied up, I have the handy little Play-Doh box. I just wrap them up and pop them in here. And then they're ready to go when I get out there. It's the other way. You can tell the difference on how short this one is compared to how short or how long the other one is. So this one is probably about 3.5 feet because it's still in my arms and I've got both ends. So I'm going to tie up some more of these here, and we're going to play some wonderful music for you to listen to. And I'm probably going to fast forward it and speed through it. And then we will get back on the other side, and I'll show you my fishing gear that I have for trout fishing and for salmon fishing, because the trout up here are also incredible. They're huge. I mean, they're the biggest trout I've ever seen in my life. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and keep recording this and take a couple of sips off the beer probably, and then you guys can watch right along and listen, and I will be back in just a minute. my salmon rod. Catch more fish. Just a cheap rod I bought at Sportsman's Warehouse. So I need to show you how to cast this. But you know what? We have a nice, beautiful sky. It stopped raining. So how about we just take this rod, place it in the truck, drive to the river and cast it in there. And then that way, who knows? It's a little early still for salmon fishing, but I think I could practice on the water just as easy as I could practice in the yard. So, swivel, weight, hook, and ideally, you want faster moving water. This water's not moving that fast at all. It's too early in the year for it here. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to double the length that I have. Well, not necessarily double. I'll show you how much I put out here. And this is all you really need when it comes to sockeye fishing. Okay? Put my finger here. So the action is upstream. Follow it, follow it, follow it, follow it, follow it, and drag it out. Right? What did I do there? There. So again, and you don't need much line at all because what are you doing here? Because the fish are, I mean, if, like I said before, if you're more than thigh deep in the water, you're too deep. The fish are behind you. So, again, above, follow it, follow it, follow it, follow it, set it. And I say set it, I'm not really setting a hook. I'm just giving it a good pull across so that hopefully it's presented itself in front of the fish. And as you're following it down, you get to a point where you're dragging it across, flossing the teeth of the fish. That's basically all you're doing. So, upstream. Follow it down, follow it down, follow it down, follow it down, and pull it out. Now, you can get to the point, too, where you're just going. All right, boom, 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 boom. Back up. Boom, 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 boom. Back up. Boom, 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 boom. Back up. And that's what they mean by flipping. And like I said, in theory, you're in water that's running a lot more than this. I mainly just came down to the river today because I haven't been down to the river and I was hoping, maybe, who knows. A couple other things, because we talked about the knot before. Whoop, the egg loop knot. Get out of here, bee. Why I'm such a huge fan of the egg loop knot is because basically I can pull this back. All right, and there's my loop again. And all I have to do, if I don't like the color that's on there, is slide that right off and put another color right back in the loop. And when I'm done, I tighten it back down again. And now I've got an entirely new presentation. It's very, very simple. So flipping for sockeye, very easy to do. It's a lot easier to do to catch fish, that is, when they're actually in the river. And, well, there are some in the river right now. I don't think there's that many. And with the faster water out there, there's no way I'm going to get to them.